So here you have it, guys. We're doing another round on the Unholy DK, and man, did this thing get some much-needed changes. They've changed the artifact ability. They've just changed how the rotation's playing in general. So what have they done to end up changing this? All right, well, from live, they've done a hell of a lot of changing. From the last video that I did, they've done a hell of a lot of changing. So I'm gonna just break it down from the beginning for you guys. What do they have? They have a couple different ways that you can spec this thing to be more pet-surfaced AoE, or it's just basically you doing more damage. It feels like there's a huge difference between each play, and I did kind of go for the updated pet because it feels like that is going to be the stronger gameplay. So basically what your gameplay is looking at is, yes, you want to keep your diseases up. You want to keep your ghoul up at all time, which it's now a little baby A-bomb. It's a little Stitches, guys. It's pretty awesome. But basically, you're gonna want to keep your virulent plague up, and they've changed it a bit also. Instead of having to swap it around and add it on to everything, basically now when you put it on a target, it's going to cause a mesma, and for 6 seconds any mobs that are around it are actually going to get this dot applied to it. So it's kind of it automatically AoE adds this plague to everything whenever you use it. The other one's actually going to be built up through another one of your abilities, Festering Strike, and it's going to end up putting up this other ability. And now the only way this one does any damage for your festering hold on, it's right there, Festering Plague, I believe is what it's called. And the only way to make this one to do damage is to use well, I'm spec'd into what's called Shadow Claws. Basically it'll be Shadow Strike, and when you hit it, it causes it to do like an AoE blast and do extra damage. Really huge, guys. Now how did they change the artifact weapon along with this? Well, the more of the Festering Plague that you have on the target at the time whenever you go to use this, it's basically going to act like Army of the Dead. Minute and a half cooldown on this, and basically you will summon one ghoul per each Festering Plague. Really awesome, guys. You are now considered the Master of the Undead again, instead of it adding another I believe it was doing another plague, and it was really lame and boring, and it just didn't seem to fit the gameplay, giving it another dot. But instead, they gave you this, and man, does it it helps out so much. The damage has had a lot of tuning also, guys. The way that this is playing out, the damage is a lot higher than it was the first time I went around. Before, I was having trouble killing stuff. Now it's just... It was murder. Absolute murder. AoE situations, it was extreme murder. On single target, it was still really good. Fun playing, guys. Very fun to play. You still have your Army of the Dead. You're the only ones that have that now. That is your special go-to. And then you also still have your Gargoyle, but I have it updated to the Valkyr just for an additional bonus to damage on it. And it plays really nice. In an AoE situation, guys, you're going to want to use your D&D. The D&D is going to be one of the biggest damaging aspects you have. And it's not so much for the damage that D&D does. It is for the damage that you can do while in it. Because anytime you end up hitting your Shadow Strike or Shadow Claws, depending on what you're spec'd into, it's going to do that damage to everything around. So what you're going to do on an AoE situation is obviously start with putting up your Virulent Plague on everything, drop your D&D, get a Festering Strike in there, and just start blowing up everything. I mean, you just see numbers roll off as you do it. Single target, guys, you're going to basically do the same thing minus the D&D, and just once you get it on there, it's keeping your Virulent Plague up, and then you're going to want to make sure that you're keeping your Festering Plague up, Festering Strike, and then burn it off with Shadow Claws, and making sure that you're kind of doing a wax and wane between it and your Unholy Bolt. I can't not think of the name for some reason. Holy crap. And the reason for that, the reason why I did a lot into it, jeez, I cannot think of the name, guys. I am so sorry. But anyways, your Unholy Bolt, what you're using, your ranged attack basically is, the reason why you want to use it and the reason why I did it was because I took it for the reduced cooldown. It reduces the cooldown on your empowering your ghoul, and it does a lot of damage whenever you empower your ghoul. God, he hits like a truck. It's awesome. The very, very noticeable change, and with bringing that cooldown down, it just seemed like that was the best DPS that I could get on a single target fight. But again, it is a good balanced mix play. You've got a lot that you're balancing now. You've got your 2 dots that you're doing. The one, I mean, it's only falling off from you doing your Shadow Claws strike. And it's really, guys, huge change from the first time I played this thing. I mean, it's absolutely dominant compared to what it was. And I mean, if I could express my love for this thing anymore, I hate DKs with a passion on live. For some damn reason, they are just boring as shit. But this really took over. It became a very fun spec. You still got your battle res. You still got your control demon to, you know, or control undead, which will help in like some CC situations on undead or dead parties. So you've got that. You've still got your grip, so you've got that utility. The only thing that seems to still be lacking is your mobility, and you do have Wraith Walk for that, but it's on a very long cooldown. So if you have to use it more than once within a 45-second period, it's kind of lacking. But everything else, guys, the damage feels like it's been tuned out very nicely in both AoE and single target situations. It really feels like a solid spec now, unlike the first time when I went through. It was not at all. It was very painful to end up doing, and this has really pumped up the gameplay. You really feel like the master of the undead again. You're basically playing it off of you and your pet in damage. It's just fun, guys. I can't say anything other than that. They've actually made this thing to where it's extremely fun. Again, I do everything off of the base artifact, so there's no additional power built into this artifact weapon, just like I do with any of my classes. So you have this at a base level that's doing very well. It's very fun. People can get into this. You still have great utility and defensive cooldowns. You have IBF. You have Death Strike, which it still has Dark Succor, so if you kill something, you can end up having it empowered and heal yourself back up. It's really good. It feels like in the progress of it going through, even in questing, while you're going through, you can actually maintain and keep going and not have to worry about stopping as much as some of the other classes right now. It's a very well played class, and it actually feels really good. Now its counterpart, Frost, is still very bland and boring. If you like the bland and boring, easy to play kind of stuff, that's fine. But Unholy is actually, it's got a lot to work with now. A lot to work with. And again, I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're in there and you're tracking and you're still trying to avoid stuff and keep your interrupts up, it's a lot to track, and it makes it really fun, guys. I kind of like the stressful gameplay on it. But it's fun. I mean, it's not that stressful to where it's like, oh my god, I'm going to blow my brains out or anything. It's a fun kind of stressful to where you're like, woo, I'm actually working to do something here, instead of it's super easy. If you like super easy, Frost is still there, guys. But, again, cooldown wise, I mean, you've got your Gargoyle or your Valkyr, whichever one you spec it into. The Valkyr does some serious damage. Your pet does some serious damage whenever it's empowered. Even when it's not empowered, it can. So, I mean, the more you keep it empowered, that's why I took the, I believe it's Ebon Bolt. Maybe not. I don't know. I can't think of it. Anyways, whatever that ability is, it reduces the time each time you cast it by 5 seconds. It's on a minute cooldown already, so you can basically keep this thing up a ton. Because the regeneration works really nice. They set it up to where your regen works inside of your rune usage. So, again, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, go ahead and throw it a like and subscribe. I am now on Twitter, and I've got a new YouTube URL, so I hope you enjoy it. Go ahead and get with us. And I really do appreciate you guys. I've got a lot of things coming for you. Thanks again.